rights. It's not taking them away.
However, we have to take into effect that these people do not want to just merely be sitting in their same home smoking just in this one place. What if they want to go do it out in a park where there's perfectly open space and there's nobody around? We cannot limit where they can do these actions. Now, the Honourable Proposition has also stated how this law would be beneficial because they would have restrictions on how you cannot drive with it in a certain period of time of ingesting this substance, nor could you operate a heavy machinery and basically use the same framework as alcohol or tobacco and alcohol. However, I'd like to ask you, we do not fully understand yet the length of the effect and the length of effect for this substance. And studies have shown that it affects different people for different periods of time. Some people, it can even last up to 12 hours. Now, how is this going to be easily, this is not enforceable for any legal office, nor for the police. This is not an enforceable law. We cannot have people randomly pulled over and say, we think you've been smoking, we have no proof of it, we're going to take you away. There's no effective way to counter this. Yes?
Actually, there are many ways to find out whether a person has been using alcohol, marijuana. There's eye dilation and there's the smoke. And
however, these effects are different for every single person. And every single person can be affected for a different period of time and in different ways. And so, for example, you can still have these effects, and the effects such as for example, what has been called by some mental retardation. And so where you're not thinking up to the same speed as you normally would, but even without the eye dilation. Now, they have also stated there are no realistic harms, as you cannot have, there's no overdose, and that it's not like cigarettes. However, I'd like to point out that there's a statistic that each single smoking of marijuana has up to 50% more tar in it than the cigarette. And the tar in itself is one of the main carcinogens of this. So their point that there's no carcinogen, it does not cause cancer, and there is no realistic harms is totally null and void. Right. They also have stated that that it prevents children from substance abuse. But later on they even said, oh, if the parents are okay with it, they will allow these parents to use it perhaps as a reward. Is this not in fact the government and supporting the use of this by children? They have specifically stated that the parents could use this as a reward. How is this reward or to give your children something that can totally destroy their health? They also said that America is heading towards legalizing marijuana and gave the example of California. However, I'd like to ask you, how is this in fact going to help us when the overall stance among their federal government is against it? They also said that we could trade in the world. However, to date, I only know one country that actually has any realistic trade in this, and that is the Netherlands. And I don't think that this is going to be an effective trading partner for Canada. So far we've gone over how this is totally unenforceable, how this is totally destructive towards everybody's health, and my partner will provide with you a wide array of constructive points. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, you okay?
Don't worry, we're running out of time.
I'd now like to call Erin to the floor to deliver a 60-minute constructive speech. First, last minute protected. Start whenever you want.
Well, hello, moderators, honorable opposition, and fellow guests. I would like to talk about how legalizing marijuana would hurt organized crime, and how that is a great point for why we should legalize it, and about the economics behind legalizing marijuana. For my first point, legalizing marijuana would reduce the sales of other drugs. Why? Because marijuana is usually used as a gateway drug. How? Because most marijuana is led with other substances such as cocaine and as he mentioned already, tar. And because of this leads many young marijuana users to or be already addicted to these other harmful drugs through the use of marijuana. However, if we legalize the growth of marijuana for your own home uses, this would solve the problem because everyone would have access to organic and safely regulated marijuana. And
Did you, the honorable first proposition not already state today that this is not a gateway drug?
well, I'm showing you how the organic marijuana in its having not been tampered by organized crime is not a gateway drug. It is only a gateway drug once it has been tampered with by organized crime. And another thing is that this will destroy a revenue form that organized crime has and will hurt massively the amount of revenue that organized crime gets from for their illegal activities. A case of this is in Portugal, where it has been where the drugs have been decriminalized, and decriminalization of marijuana has actually led to the drop of crime rates in Portugal instead of the opposite. And what was it? And now I want to talk about the economics of marijuana. Marijuana is a huge market inside BC and in Canada. And if we could tax this, the funds that are raised by this could be used to regulate this marijuana, to fund the police force to fight against organized crime. And this would also create jobs inside Canada. This would also create a market inside Canada that is specific to Canada. And my honorable opposition has mentioned how there are no countries at the moment to trade with the marijuana. However, if Canada as a country legalizes marijuana, this will be a huge step forward in an incentive for other countries to want to legalize it also. This would then we would be able to have trade. And another thing is that prisons, most activity that leads people going to prisons is to do with illegal drugs. And for prisons, it takes about $300,000 to fund the female inmate. And so if we legalize marijuana, we would be able to lower the costs that we have in trying to grow ups and trying to fund prisons and in trying to pay the police. 90% of the policeman's job at this moment in BC is dealing with small-time marijuana users and other drugs such as this. And as I have already said, marijuana would stop the populace from using other drugs such as cocaine, and this would also help lower the amount of work that the police force has. And so what I talked about in my points is that this legalizing marijuana would hurt organized crime. It would hurt the revenue and the amount of sales it would have, and would also cause a smaller amount of crime. And also I have talked about how this would be good for Canada's economy, good for trade, create jobs and a market. And a small room of marijuana can generate up to $1 million worth of product per year. At this, if we harness this revenue, this product, this money, we can create a lot of taxes for Canada to use for the benefit of Canadians. And and yes, just like